everyone. Welcome to another episode of Anything and Everything with Donna Lisa. I'm your host, Donna Lisa, and today I have Gigi Roundtree with me. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. I think this is something I've been waiting to do for a few months now, mainly because you've been getting healthy. You've been healing and whatnot. So Gigi is a social activist, community activist, and actually 6-time author of a couple of books. Note to Self is one of them. And then The Power of Motivation. I do want to hear a little bit more about that. And then also founder of the nonprofit Commentary. So awesome. And then you also, on top of all that, you host like women leadership events, like summits and whatnot, correct?
Yes, so they're catering mostly through like self-development, mental health, self-discovery.
Awesome. So at your young age, I know how old you are, so how far back in your younger days did you think, okay, I want to start doing something for my community? Like, what was that turning point for you in your life? Of course, you're just growing up. You graduate from high school and you're trying to figure out life, right? And what you're going to do. What was it that made you decide to start this nonprofit, write books, and just, be this social activist that you are?
Well, I actually started my nonprofit 2016, February. Before that, I just got my master's in information systems. So I was in the corporate world. Prior to that, probably 7 years, I was climbing up the ladder and I was like, I had a passion just to service others. And I had to find a way like, okay, I just moved to Vegas. Well, I've been here since 2005.
Okay.
So I moved to Vegas. I really didn't have family. I didn't really know anybody. But I would volunteer at, the shelters and things like that. And I was like, I really want to do this on my own. So I started my nonprofit really with just saving money. And I didn't, have any funds to really, meaning like go after like fundraising and things like that. So I saved money to really start my nonprofit and network with other like-minded in the community. And then through my journey through that, I knew like I wanted to write books. I was always writing notes to myself, actually. In my notes section, that's what gave me the idea to start my first book, which was Note to Self.
So what is Note to Self about?
So Note to Self is really notes to yourself, meaning they start off with Dear Self, and it gives you kind of like an affirmation to go through your day, whatever challenging moment that you may be experiencing at the time. And then it ends with Love Self. So it's just always knowing your self-worth no matter what you're going through.
That's awesome. And then shortly after, so that started after your nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about Commentary. What exactly is it, and how do you serve the community with that? Because I see on your social media posts you're going to a lot of schools, elementary schools.
So Commentary really started with the idea of servicing the disfranchised segment of our community. So it was the homeless population. So I knew I wanted to service those that were living below the means. So first started doing workshops and community outreach at different places. And then it grew to where I saw so many children out there without. So I now have a curriculum in the Clark County School District to where I mentor youth through my program, which is Empower and Inspire.
So is it elementary school students, or what's the age?
It's elementary. Then we branched off to middle school as well.
Okay.
Because I feel like those are like...
Yeah. Those are tough years for sure. Middle school going into high school, and even high school is tough. So I get it because I had teenagers and college kids. So backstory, just wanted to let everybody know you and I met through a mutual friend, Ashley Burney. If you're out there, Ashley, love her. She's with You're Bold as You're Beautiful, and I actually saw you at her last. No, it was actually 2 years ago. Her last.
Oh yeah,
I think it was almost 2 years ago, 2022. So funny story not funny, but interesting story. for those who have been following me on my journey, is I was actually finishing off my like radiation treatments and whatnot, and you were actually just starting yours, right? You were going through your cancer journey. So Gigi is also a cancer survivor. So
Yes.
you were further along though, like stage 4. I mean, you pushed through all that. And when I saw you, I just thought, wow, this lady's like not well, right? I was already at the end of mine. You were not well, and you were still showing up for people, still had a smile on your face, and it's inspiring. So
Thank you.
during that battle, like, you know, when you were first diagnosed, what was going through your mind, and how were you thinking, like, okay, how am I going to continue to push through and still serve others when I have to think about me?
You know, that, I think, of course, it was a very traumatizing time in my life. But in 2019, I actually had brain surgery.
Oh, wow.
So that alone, I couldn't walk for 6 months. So had to learn how to like be mobile again, how to like eat on my own, had to like shower on my own, and etc. You know, I had my family and things support me while, you know, I was transitioning. And then I got diagnosed 2021. It was July I had sarcoma, so I had a chest wall tumor that was 7 centimeters.
Oh, my goodness.
So with that, I didn't even tell anybody, to be honest, for like the first couple months. The only person that knew like was with my dad. I had to tell someone because I didn't have the strength to kind of take myself to treatments. And I didn't know what my life would look like. So at that time, they had me at stage 3.
Okay.
So when they were like stage 3, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like,
That's serious.
and I was like, through that, I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to tell people? And then slowly I started to come out more with my story and got a lot of support, 100%.
Were you just afraid of people judging? I mean,
I don't think it was more judgment.
Yeah.
I think it was more of knowing I may have, you know, not make it through this battle. Yeah.
So you got a great support system. That's awesome. I think even Ashley in the episode that we recorded, she mentioned she went through brain surgery and stuff. So that's kind of the common ground that you guys have. But she also had to go through therapy to learn how to walk and feed her exactly like that. So was your family all helping you at that time? Because you have older children, correct? Well, your daughter is older.
Oh, yes.
Right,
So I got a lot of support.
Good.
I had people fly out and things like that. So I was never alone in anything.
That's awesome. Was there any point during your battle where you were like, I'm just tired, I can't keep doing this? Because I know I felt that at one point.
Yes, plenty of times. I think when they told me that I had stage 4 and I had 6 months to live.
Wow, they really actually gave you a timeline. Like, oh my gosh.
They gave me several timelines.
Really?
And then everyone, I just surpassed it.
Good for you.
So I think the moment they told me I had stage 4, I stopped treatments. They said there was nothing they could do for me. So I traveled actually different countries to, whether it be seek medicine, mostly I would travel South America, Central America, just to be in that type of environment and feed myself healthy foods. And then I started studying more of Joe Dispenza. He's in the metaphysics, 4D, 5D.
Interesting.
So I went to one of his seminars. It was a week-long seminar in Orlando, and I learned how to just self-heal through meditation. So I started studying more and more about the holistic side of healing. And November, I was really sick. So I thought oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it by my birthday. It was November last year. And I was sick. I had family come over and I felt really weak. And a couple of weeks later, right before my 42nd birthday, they told me to ring the bell and that my scans were really well.
That's awesome.
So I was oh my gosh, are you serious? At that point, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm possibly dying. But I look at it as the cancer leaving my body. So from there, I was just I I got to take care of myself. I really didn't tell anybody. I sent everybody made everybody little cards of telling them I was cancer free. And I did it on my birthday, which you were there.
Yeah.
And I did separate ones for my family. So
Oh, that's so awesome.
yeah.
That was great. That was a great story because I know that was still when you and I met and I was like, oh, she's going through so much. And I would check in on you every so often. We'd have lunch or dinner. And then at your birthday party, when you announced it, everybody was so excited. So congratulations on that.
Yes, thank you.
That's exciting because that's you were further along than I was in going through a lot. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Love that your family was there to support you and your friends too through this journey. So are you going to write a book about that journey?
Everyone asked me that. I'm like, I just might have.
Yeah.
And I think because my books are, like I was telling you, are centered through mental health and finding your greater self. And I have a book The Power of Healing, which talks about healing yourself through having high vibrations and frequencies. And just even I read one of my books through my cancer journey, which is finding your greater self. And that alone kind of just helped me keep my mind at ease and just writing and just staying in tune to who I truly was outside of cancer. Because people always ask me did it break you in any kind of way? And I know for me, it may have mentally and emotionally, but I think I needed to go through that because in that experience, I did find my most beautiful self, even without hair.
You actually looked great without hair. When we were both bald when we first met, so it's kind of not a competition, but it's funny to see how our hair is grown. It's the same length because we were both. Our hair was less than an inch long when we both met. So yeah,
and it's funny that day we met, everybody really thought I came there like that on purpose.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so funny. Well, when my hair was growing out, people were like, that's a really good look on you. I'm like, oh, thanks. It's finally growing out. And I keep forgetting that. I'm like, yeah, finally grown out after my treatments. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I keep forgetting that. Yeah, I guess some people take it hard. But anyway, no, it looks great. Your hair looks great. And it looks like it's thick too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's growing back different.
Yeah, mine's been growing back different too. That's exciting. So if somebody is thinking about writing a book, so this is another thing on my bucket list, right, is writing a book. I was talking to you about this quickly offline. Where do you start? But I hear it's so much easier now because of AI. Everyone's typing in hey, write me a book on this and that, and then it generates it. But you write from the heart.
AI, you don't know if you'll get the same book as someone else.
Right. I mean, from writing it from scratch, from the heart.
writing it yourself and having someone kind of edit it to kind of sound like you.
Okay.
You know?
So how does that go? You have an editor, you have a publisher.
I actually published it myself, but I had someone edit it and things like that, go over it and make sure, everything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Was good to go.
So do you also do audiobooks? Is it an audiobook where people, because for me, I like listening to books because I'm always trying to multitask. And I know that's horrible and you're not supposed to, but I'm cleaning and I'm like, okay, let me listen to this next podcast, right? That's why it's hard for me to actually read a book. And then when I do sit down and read a book, it's at night before I go to bed and I'll fall asleep and I never finish the book. So do you have an audio version?
I don't, unfortunately.
Have you thought about it?
I did. And then it was I didn't want to kind of spend too much time on that. But eventually I probably will.
Yeah. I have another girlfriend that's going through, she's actually writing another book. She was part of another group of ladies who were in, this Boss Babe book. And she's going to write another one on her own personal journey, which is exciting. So it's been taking her quite some time. But again, it's like you, right? As opposed to other people who write through AI, she wants us to be from her, from the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And my books, they're not too long. I mean, like I said, they're affirmations to yourself.
Okay.
And things like that. So it's more no use really for an audio,
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's something that what you're saying is it's not long enough so I don't fall asleep when I'm reading.
Yes.
I can read this at night.
You can read a page a day.
There you go. That's baby steps. Okay, I'll definitely do it. That's a win if I can do a page a day. Because what happens is I get there and I sit up in my bed and I start reading the first paragraph. And then I doze off, and my husband's like, I think you just need to put it down and go to bed. I'm like, okay. So yeah, awesome. Well, so now let's talk about your nonprofit. So you've been in business, I mean, you started it in 2016, you
Yes.
said? Okay. And since then, have you been growing to add more schools to the program, or how is that looking?
Yes. So I'm actually working on a big project right now with a rec center. I can't
you
really
can't disclose.
say
Okay.
which rec center, but in the summertime, I'm looking to grow my mentorship program to those in the
Nice.
community that are outside of the certain schools that I serve. But I'm looking to get more into schools.
Not just the public school, you mean, but other schools?
Yeah. So the juvenile system.
Okay.
Juvie system, the courts and things like that. So I have worked with juveniles that they get referred to me, whether it be through community service or for mentorship. So I'm trying to grow in that aspect.
Okay.
Because initially when I first started, like I was telling you, it was more catering to adults. So
Right.
I centered my workshops. It was called Lunch and Learn, to where I would service those transitioning back into the workforce. So with workshops like resume writing,
Like
transitioning-
preparatory.
yes, pretty
Okay.
much. Preparing them
nice.
for, getting back into the workforce, employment, help with ID, Social Security and things like that. So
Wow. So with the school, do you just find are you more passionate like helping the younger generation?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think because this generation is so different.
Very, very different. I know, because we talk about this quite often with a lot of my friends, not just you. I think a lot of them were affected, sadly, because of the pandemic, right?
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you seeing
absolutely.
I know I hear and I read the numbers, statistics about the younger generation just struggling to find themselves, because like the teenage years are always awkward years. But then you throw a pandemic into it, and then you have social media and the effects of people seeing other people on social media thriving, and they're just not feeling good about themselves. Like, how do you navigate through that with a troubled teen? I mean, do you struggle to get through to some of them? Or are they pretty open because they just want help?
Most of them don't know why they're in there. But when I kind of tell them my story of why I started it, because I could relate to them. I was a troubled teen. I rebelled.
You don't seem like that type.
I was such a bad kid. And then, just to see so many children, especially in that space, to where when they do have a vulnerable moment, they'll share, whether it be, something about their parents or growing up, or things that they don't mean to say but comes out. It's kind of troubling to hear, even if they don't have food, or they're just like struggling in the moment.
Are these elementary school kids?
Elementary.
Aw, really?
Yeah, so I've been getting third graders.
Yeah.
Usually my focus in elementary is like fourth and fifth, but I started another program for development to help the younger kids, because their minds, if you sit and talk to them, is so different. It's like you're talking to someone that's older.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the minds of like a middle school kid.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So middle school, one of the middle schools I was in, a lot of them, they would get in fights.
Yeah.
They would be in the juvie system.
Wow.
And it's like you forget you're talking to someone that's in that age group, and my son, he'll be in high school next school year.
Okay.
And he sees it in his school too. And it's a brand new school, middle school, good area.
That's so sad to
Yeah,
hear,
it
because like in our generation, we all were involved in sports or activities or something, right? School clubs and whatnot. And I feel like there's a lot more for them these days, but it's so hard to get all of them to want to take part in that, right? So how do you motivate them to want to do better, especially when they... So the sad thing is, especially when they come from a broken home, or a home where parents aren't as present, right? I've heard of, because my friends teach in California in the lower less well-off communities.
Right.
And they said there are some kids that struggle. Like they go home and they don't have parents to go home to. It may be their grandparents raising them or an aunt and uncle. And they show up to school not wanting to learn, just not wanting to participate. And how do you motivate them? You're not a school teacher, but you're starting this program and you're wanting to like connect with them. And if their school teachers can't even connect with them, how do you feel like you can make a difference?
First, like you have to think about their level of influence now. So whether it be social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and things like that, and the things that they're watching or influenced by, whether it be those TikTok challenges and things like that. My son says that they've done it at his school.
Oh, really?
Children being caught doing those TikTok challenges. And I'm like,
because it's a cool thing to do, or they want to be just like all the influencers.
Exactly. And then I teach a curriculum that's pretty set. So I tailor it to the actual students that are coming and joining my class. So whether it be teaching about, your mindset, whether it be teaching about empathy, etiquette, self-confidence, self-discovery. So it's tapping into those levels to where, okay, they may not understand it, but if I break it down to where we do activities to where they could understand, to where they could love themselves, to know their self-worth and things like that, to change their mind that they are not defined by their circumstances.
Right.
And so they get it. They always want to enroll back in my class. They come visit me in my classroom.
That's awesome.
And it's like just to see the growth to when they do transition to middle school. I still keep up to date with some of my students that I was teaching at a middle school.
Okay.
And they seem to be doing pretty good. And, just the reward that I get is just seeing them make progress.
Yeah. And want to get more involved, right? That's awesome. So you started, elementary school, middle school. God, by the time you get to high school, they're already kind of wired to just like think a certain way. They don't want help, or they think they don't need help, right?
Exactly.
How do you work with somebody like that? And then, I mean, ultimately, what do you find that a lot of them just want to be heard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hear that a lot.
They just want someone to talk to, someone to understand them, and just counsel pretty much.
So the bullies, like what causes them to just be bullies? Like, I don't understand. I never understood because I was bullied as a kid. Somebody used to steal my lunch in kindergarten and I was like, oh my gosh. And my dad was like, I'm going to go to your school and we're going to talk to the principal.
Most say, their upbringing.
Really?
A lot say, things they see at home. Most are frustrated, of living kind of the lifestyle that they do live. They want so much more from life, but they don't have that proper guidance or mentorship.
Well, and I think they see too much on social media.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I say that that is like their level of influence.
Oh, God, it's so hard. Well, I'm excited that you're continue to, change lives every day. How long is the program for you?
So the mentorship program for the kids is an 8-week program.
Okay.
So we go through, the developmental skills each week, and then we celebrate them.
Okay.
With, like a nice dinner on campus,
nice.
Catered dinner rather, with their families, their parents, their siblings. And I have a boys mentorship as well. So I have male mentors that mentor the young boys. So we all celebrate together, get to know the parents, see how they do like transitioning from school to home, see if there's any issues and things like that. But, some parents don't sign off on allowing their children to receive mentorship. So for whatever reason.
But this is like, it's free mentorship.
Yes, it's free.
And they still don't want their kids
so we always ask for permission because we want them to know where your child is at a certain hour at school, what they're learning and things like that. Because we do send them home with activities. We send them home with like gifts to keep them encouraged. So...
That's so surprising that some parents wouldn't.
Yeah.
So at some point, like when you're counseling these kids, in your program, has there ever been a time where you're like, okay, this is kind of like a CPS situation. We need them out of the home they're in because they may be more at harm staying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have that authority to be like, hey, and bring it up to
absolutely.
the school. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, maybe that's why some of the parents don't want their kids in that program. But I feel like, I've seen those stories too. I feel like there are so many kids out there that are overlooked in the system and they don't get the help, right, to get out of that situation. And some of them, unfortunately, have passed since, So it's hard. You're in a tough situation because you're kind of going against the parents. And kudos to you because that's a tough job.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Social work is definitely hard, and especially when you get challenged kids. So now you also work with friends to put together these women conferences, like empowerment conferences. Let's talk about that. So you have one up and coming.
Yes, I do.
Next month, April. Okay. Let's talk about that one.
So it's a brunch and business event.
Okay.
So I have a couple speakers. I want to tailor it to where it's informative. So you bring your notebook. She learns things related to business or personal, whichever. And it's just pretty much like a sit down, an informative event. You could have lunch. It's catered by Via Brazil. They serve excellent food.
They have good food, yeah.
They do. I don't eat meat, but they do have a good salad bar.
Yes, their salad bar is great. Yep, that's true.
But, it's just, I just want like community, like-minded people to kind of network and, over a good lunch, and the proceeds go to Miracle Flights.
Okay.
They're actually a nonprofit that service those that, with disabilities or sick. So they provide transportation to and from.
Like to doctor appointments?
Yes. So if it's in another state, so transportation.
Nice.
Commercial airline. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's not just in Las Vegas. It's not just a local nonprofit.
Yeah, so they're based out here in Vegas.
Okay.
But they do fly out patients to and from.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I like that you do these little brunch because you guys also had one recently that I missed because I was out of town. But I am planning to. I have that one marked on my calendar. It's like April 27th. It's a Saturday, right? Or
yes. That's the one I'm hosting.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I'm excited. So I have that on my calendar. I'm hoping I can get to go. Anything that you have planned for the future for a Common Tree for like future growth?
Just continue to do my workshops, community outreach, and my events that I hold yearly, whether it be the Back to Shoe Expo that I do every year. We service about 400 to 700 students.
Wow.
Every year, and the Back to School Drive. We do also, holiday events and giving back, toy giveaways. And the ones that I do in the schools is called the SAC, where you're able to sponsor a child and they get lunch with their family, they get presents, they get the whole nine.
Oh, is that for Christmas?
Yeah, so it's...
Oh, that's so nice.
I do that every year at my schools.
Awesome. How many schools do you have in your program currently?
Right now, I have 4.
Okay. And what's your goal? To work with all the schools? Because that's do you have enough staff for that to help you?
My goal is to really, the rec center one, to really come into fruition. Yeah. So that way I could help other students outside of certain schools and just in that community.
That's
awesome.
So
you don't even have to live in that community to go, but just to help more of our community.
Like keep the kids off the streets.
Yes, absolutely.
Stuff. That's awesome. That's exciting. Well, I do plan to go to your brunch, so I'm excited that.
Yay.
And keep me posted because I follow you on social media, and you post quite often your events. So keep me posted on that for sure, like the holiday stuff, because we do a lot in the industry I'm in as well, in hospitality and special events. We do a lot of give back for the schools during the holiday season, back to school drives and whatnot, even like Thanksgiving, all that. But I always like to kind of spread the love and. Yeah, there's so many nonprofits out there. Sometimes I feel guilty not supporting all of them. But there's so many things that go on, especially in this town,
Oh, yeah.
that it's hard to go to all the events. Like tonight, there's another nonprofit event, and you were at one recently, right? I saw this week.
Yeah, for Opportunity Village. Yeah,
that
it was
a
amazing.
fun one.
Mhm.
Awesome. And I think you were there with Ashley. I saw you guys. So sweet. I
Yes.
was like, oh, there they are. So cute when I see you guys together. So like, let's talk about a little bit more about motivation. What motivates you to like get up every day and do what you do and give back?
I think, everyone wants to say, oh, my kids.
Yeah.
But of course,
They're
yes.
your why. Mm-hmm.
But I think just life in general,
Mm-hmm.
it just gets me going, like just the beauty of a life and what it has to offer.
The fact that you can get up every day.
Yes.
Yeah. I know sometimes I have a bad day and I'm like, you know what? At least I actually got to wake up today and like breathe the, not so fresh air, but breathe the air, right?
But I will say you just had a bad moment at the time.
Yeah.
Your day could always get better.
Right. For sure. I always try to start it off right. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, crap, the dog, had an accident and my day hasn't started yet. But yeah, I had to change that mindset. So how do you navigate through tough times? Because for you, of course, and you kept your cancer battles a secret for a while before you came out, publicly to friends and other family members. How were you motivating yourself to just stay focused on healing and not like dragging yourself down?
It was pretty much a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm around people, you'll never know, like, if I was feeling a certain way. Because I always, as you know, always kept a smile on my face.
You did.
And, it's just like when people be like, you don't even look sick. And I'm
Right.
like, what is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, just because you look normal doesn't mean that you're not
Am
wealthy.
I supposed to be frail? Am I
not
supposed
healthy
to be,
inside, yeah.
look a certain way?
Yeah.
But I think just knowing, because there was a time where I just didn't want to fight, to be
Right.
honest. I was going through a dark period in my life with everything else going on. And I think I had a struggle moment
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of last year where I just didn't want to live anymore.
Wow.
And during that time, my dad actually found me.
Okay.
So I think after that moment of weakness,
Mm-hmm.
of trying just not to exist anymore physically, I think then I knew, like, okay, what am I doing? Like,
Right.
I can't let these weak moments kind of like be the reason why I feel like always defeated. And there was something in a seminar that I heard is like, you have to overcome to become. So I knew I had to overcome some of those challenges to really become like someone better outside of my cancer journey. So when people say, oh, you got to find yourself, and I say, what is the reason of finding yourself when you create yourself through your life journeys on your own terms? So that's how I kind of continue to think.
Mm-hmm.
And just dive deeper into like why I wanted to live, because I felt I just had so much more to give
Yeah. You're so
than
young.
I did had to lose. Yeah.
Right. That's so true, though. Some people. I just finished our company hosted a women's leadership retreat for a few of the leaders in our company, but also with our clients. So we had an opportunity for 3 days to kind of connect with our clients, but it was a very different retreat. And conference. So most of these conferences I go to, you're meeting with people one-on-one and you're doing these like speed dating appointments. And then you have speakers in between all that. And then of course it's in another town where you're not
Right.
from. So you never really they're like, okay, you have like 2 hours break before dinner. And you never really get to do anything else outside of that. But this one was different. So they started off the day either with like a self-defense class or a yoga class one day, and then went into the sessions and the motivational speakers, which are amazing. And after that, like one day, like we went out and actually toured the town. And it was so nice because when you're in a foreign town and you want to tour it, but you don't know anybody else at the conference, you're like, who do I trust to come with me? Because you don't want to go by yourself. But we went as a group, learned it was a lot of history. We were in Savannah, Georgia, and it was nice. It was nice to connect with everybody, and it was very different. And one thing that they did say, we talked about, how do you motivate yourself when you're going through a tough period, right? And they just said, you just have to wake up and think, okay, so do I want to continue to be the way that I am? Or especially like if you're sick, right? Or do I want to give up on this battle? or am I going to get up and just, keep, like push through and be something, I could be like better and be more positive.
Absolutely.
I think the mind is definitely a powerful thing. And a lot of people, when they go through their, whether it's a cancer journey or just some other illness, because there are a lot of people who have different types of disabilities. And a lot of them sometimes just give up too soon, sadly. And it's hard to see people think that way.
Right.
When they could be more positive. And I know it's hard when you're in a lot of pain, believe me, because I've gone through what you've gone through too. But at some point you're like, okay, am I just going to keep like dwelling on this and just being bitter for the rest of my life? If that is the end result, or am I going to be a little more positive about it because there's more to life than just thinking about this illness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Would you rather be bitter or better?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like to be sweet. So yeah, no, I'm not going to be bitter for sure. Well, you've been definitely you've been very positive throughout your journey. Like I said, I've seen you not at your lowest, I'm sure, but when you weren't so well, I could tell. And you still push through. And there's some of my friends used to see me too. They're like, you don't look like you're doing well today. But I'm like, I'm okay, Yeah. And I'll be honest with them and just say, I'm just okay. I'm not good, but I'm okay. And they're like, no, and it's okay to say that. And if you're not okay, it's okay to say that you're not okay. So I think that's just the one thing I would like to tell everybody, because I see you go through your battle and your journey, and I see a lot of other people, and you're definitely doing well. So I'm excited to keep seeing you do better and do bigger things. Like I'm waiting for that book to come out about your journey.
Well, I did start, I'm bringing back this actual series that I call the You Matter series.
Okay.
So it's master classes on whether it be self-care, like I was talking about, self-discovery, growth, mindset. So I'm kicking it off again in May.
Nice.
So I'm still working on logistics. I have a venue and everything. The tentative date is May 9th.
Okay.
So it's, the first one is your mindset matters. So it's going to be like your such and such matters. Your growth matters. Your boundary matters. Your self-care matters. So it's just giving tools and resources and information on just like healing yourself. Like we talk so much about mental health, but I don't think many know what mental health is. It's so broad, So
that's good.
Yes.
A lot of people talk about mental health and this, self-care is a thing, right? And then other people say, oh, you can't do too much self-care because then you're selfish and you're not thinking about your family. I just think you can't take care of your family if you don't take care of yourself. Exactly. Yeah, no, that's great. So is there an affirmation that like you have a lot, because I know I see what you post and I'm like, oh, I love that. That's a great one. Is I'll do every so often I'll post an affirmation on my stories, right? And I see it on your social media too. And I'm like, ooh, I like that one. But is there like a daily affirmation that you like to start your day off with?
I don't have one that I really like say to myself. But now I know, like, just going through everything, I always tell myself, like, I'm just enough.
Yeah.
I tell myself I'm powerful. But I have these cards that I hang in my children's bathroom all the time, and they're like different mantras for them to say day to day.
Okay.
So whether it's like negative self-talk, just to like eliminate that. Because the first thing you see in the mirror is yourself. So you're going to have that conversation with self. So I always put something positive for them to kind of start their day to know, okay, you're going to maybe have some difficulties or challenges through the day, but really know like there's so much more, just like you were saying, like you can have one bad moment, but it's up to you to turn around your day and have a better day. So,
or keep having a crappy day, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one, though. I listened to the Mel Robbins one of her audiobooks. What's it called? The High Five Habit. So high-fiving yourself in the mirror, I read about that, and I just like, that's so funny. Do you do it? So I've done it. I don't do it every day because some days I'm just like, I don't want to look at you today. I'm not going to high five you. But for the most part, before I leave the house, high five yourself. I think we don't do it enough. And I think we are our biggest critics. and it's hard. I mean, there are some women out there who aren't as supporting, to other women. And I love to see everybody, not just women, but just everyone I know, whether, it's a man, it's a child, whatever. I like people to succeed. I like to see people keep growing. And there are some others out there just like, they're doing something else again. Why? Well, why not? If it keeps you, if you're passionate about helping others and doing a lot and keeping busy and being involved, why not? Right?
I always say you're just not doing enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, well, some people are just like, why do you do so much? Like, I texted a friend today. They're like, what are you doing today before we go to the evening gala? I'm like, I'm kind of, well, of course I'm resting, but I'm, getting ready to have a podcast recording. They're like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? You're rushing all this. I said, I'm not rushing. This has like been on the books. And then this work trip just kind of came into my schedule. So I'm not going to change it because my biggest thing is it's hard to get, we're all busy. It was, I used to do weekly podcasts, when I started this during COVID and as we slowly opened up, but it was all virtual and people, not everybody was still back to work then. So a lot more people had time. And what I'm finding now is everyone is like so busy now. Like we've gone back to, it's crazy how the pandemic kind of made us think, okay, enjoy your time with your family, stop focusing on working so much and stuff like that. And it's true, we all do. But we've kind of gone back to that now that we're fully into 2024. 2023 was kind of the start of that. 2022 was still prepping. And everyone now that I talk to, they're just like, we're back to where we were pre-COVID, where everyone is just stuck on working all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Not putting up the boundaries. Like we started having boundaries and like, okay, I'm not going to check that email till tomorrow morning because it's 6:00 at night. Whereas before, most of us would be like, oh, got to check it. It doesn't matter if it's 10:00 at night and the client needs something, we're going to email. We've kind of gotten away from keeping those boundaries up. And I feel like that's why everyone's going through a burnout phase right now again. Like we're so busy.
True.
Yeah. So definitely just trying to keep, your mental health good. Keep those boundaries up because my goodness, it is so hard.
Also the balance too.
Yeah. And like be kind to yourself. Because I think we're so hard on ourselves, right? And what we do and what we didn't do. So for sure. I'm excited. I'm so excited for all the good things that you have coming up. Excited to see that you're still healthy and doing well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend because I know you're busy as well. So I appreciate you coming out here to do this. For those who are tuning in, what is your social media handle? Where can they reach you?
So it's Gigi Roundtree all across the board.
Okay.
Instagram. I just started using Instagram. I wasn't on there probably for like a year or so.
Were you just taking a break? Is that?
Yeah, I was just kind of taking like a mental break from that. But I'm on Facebook too, Gigi Roundtree.
Okay.
And Instagram. Gigi
Are you
Roundtree.
on LinkedIn as well?
LinkedIn, I started that last year, but never really kind of followed through, but I'm on there.
That's a good one. So that's a good one. A lot of people like to connect. Professionally on there. So, okay, good to know that you're on LinkedIn. And then do you have a website?
Yes. So it's my name, GigiRoundtree.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again. This was great. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, so exciting.
It's always beautiful to see you.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely get together soon for like lunch or brunch, something.
Absolutely.
With Ashley and the rest of the fun girls. So I look forward to seeing you at your next event. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep staying positive. Keep smiling because you do have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
And I love your laugh. Your laugh is so cute too. So everything about you is so cute. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And we'll be chatting again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.